Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na Sunday, number 7 day for the month of May 2023. My name na Capo Daniel, una own countryman, Mr. No Connie, Ambazonian FBI. We don't come again with another episode of our daily podcast, a program where they bring una the truth. It bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we navigate this journey to our freedom, to the independence of Ambazonia. Good people of Ambazonia, I want to pay tributes today to one of Ambazonian most articulated soldier, Commander Captain Small Pickin, the ADF commander where he be there for inside Muyuka. Yesterday, Captain Small Pickin then be killed by the Cameroon occupation terrorist forces. The raid take place for inside Muyuka around 2 a.m. He be captured by La Republique with 2 other civilians. They will be later executed. The same group of La Republique du Cameroon terrorist forces, they move from there. They carry out another attack around Old Brassaris Day, where they go towards Pendamboko. Around Matuke side, they then kill 8 innocent civilians. All of these civilians were captured. They were all in Cameroon custody before they were executed, all alive. Captain Small Pickin is a very, very close commander to my heart. He actually had a call with me that same evening, raising some alarm, and I think he had this call with some few individuals as well. And unfortunately, I did not have chance to have the conversation he was trying to have with me. And he was, contrary to what is being spread around, that he was killed by General Sky of the Mountain Lions. No, that was impossible, because he was actually talking to me and advising on how I can help to governize most of the soldiers in the Savannah state, in the Atlantic state. We were in deep conversation, and suddenly he called and was talking about a threat that come from within the house, according to him. And I'm not making any conclusion or making any accusation, but when people trust me with their information, it's because they know that I will be there to speak for them when they cannot speak anymore for themselves. I'll play the audios, part of the audios that he left with me before that night before he before he fell.
Muyenge under General Sky, Captain Balak.
Long time. I guess on Twitter disturb me about this explain how you. Maybe if you get some commander for your barra way, let me see, just they happy to see what is you. We define all way to put you down. Which is suggest so if you do with that kind of commander. Like for instance, it can take me so. As if they tell me, say a man be called a man. See, so go meet a man. So mo go see if you do for move that man talk say me and be no so then I war. Man fall, man pass. If I don't fall, I don't fall. So when he be top, they looky. Then the ask and say, true. The man already that money person so. And even when I did for the General Sky, they tell me, say small people no you go back. It tell me who are. Say come on face to face, no see if you die, you go climb. But they will shame, go back for your barrack. And what in that General Sky tell me. Since I come, the boy they get different mentality. He's safe. I mean see, I don't know you just praising, why they leave the man for go die. So I want to hear your advice, but what if you do with that kind of commander? Because if you do too, you know fine. Because for wait to what is him. Then they say the people for diaspora or this some leader they need that some way. When you tell them when you give them lie, they believe you. They don't like my talk true. Agent was me 5 francs for do something at Chopin. They never ever. Yes. But I want to make them know say the war they didn't map for me. I abandon things and can't join the war. I don't fear man. I fear not God. I respect person. So I want you to give me your advice, which if you do. Because if you do, I want to know fine.
So that was a message sent to me in the morning. That was on Friday. I could not respond. I sent him a text message that he should give me some time. I will get back to him. And later on in the evening, and that was on a Friday evening now, and he left me this message.
A face-to-face DDC. A face-to-face. I don't call you that many times. I started here to really talk. I see you. I will see there. I put no panic if I power to you, but I the year talks them. Yes, DDC. I want your advice. I feel do to you no fine. I know the risks were the inside. Anything want come for me, come for them first. Now the very coup d'etat them. They sent them my godfather. They can kill you. So I know what to that in the mean. The man not at the point. I want to hear for you, pa. I beg. I want your advice. I feel do to you no fine. But the state where they.
Captain Small Pickin will be the general who have stood firm on his belief, well articulated. When Baby Caroline was killed in Boya, he was the one that led the reaction of our Ambazonian forces. He has always been for unity and was working very hard to make sure that I get our forces in the Atlantic states to come around a political agenda for our country. And he understood the reason, my ideology very, very well. And he will go down as a hero. May his soul rest in power until justice is found for our country. Fellow Ambazonians, the first internationally, professionally, or let me say, effective analysis of the Ambazonian conflict, the latest one have come out, and this one touched on the recent events, and it was sponsored by the Harvard University, and the presentation was done by an expert called Susanna Gies, where he analyzed what really happened. And this is very interesting, and I want to play you an excerpt of this presentation done by Susanna Gies. I will be bringing a review of what the state of our liberation movement is, and I hope that this expert presentation will help our people separate facts from fiction. I will play an excerpt just on some parts of it so that our people can get some knowledge about what happened. As they say, knowledge is power. I'm here to empower you. This is part of that presentation.
Of what were described as pre-talks or pre-negotiation meetings, very quiet in the fall of 2022, so just last fall, with delegations from both sides. I want to point out that the Cameroon government would not have sent a delegation without the approval of the head of state, President Paul Biya. So the government was participating. These meetings also included an Ambazonia delegation that was pretty broad. As I said, there's a fragmented movement with lots of different groups. This included quite a lot of them. It's very difficult to quantify beyond that, but it was pretty broad. And
so this is confirmation to our people that the negotiation, the pre-talks negotiation in Canada was a historic meeting. The first time Ambazonia met with Cameroon officially as two states, representing two territories. We had all the support, and those areas I'll play them so that our people should be reassured. There have been some people who have been talking about expert. Did we have expert advice? We had plenty of them, and she will talk about that also later on in the speech. And for those who are wondering if the Cameroon delegation was properly mandated, you can clearly hear the expert telling the world that the Cameroon delegation was authorized by their president. It couldn't have happened without the authority of their president. The Canadian government wouldn't be deceived or misrepresent the Cameroon delegation or their mandate to the Ambazonian delegations that were there. So hope that is very clear in the mindset of our people to know the magnitude of what was happening in Canada and the historic nature of what happened in Canada.
Process, but some substantive issues as well, such as a ceasefire and humanitarian corridors. So this got really quite far, quite a bit farther than the Swiss process had gotten. And I want to mention here that this is kind of typical of peace processes, that it's common to take two steps forward, one step back, and then people learn and regroup. And and figure out things to do differently. Another 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So get ready, because we're going to hear about more of that. So in January of this year, this process went public. And you'll see here, I just took a screenshot of an announcement by the Canadian government, which you can find online. On January 20th, Canada announced it had a mandate to facilitate a peace process. It was January 20th, so wow, huge, huge news. January 21, the Ambazonians announced that they had some problems with the nomenclature used in the Canadian announcement. The Canadians called it the Northwest and Southwest regions instead of the apparently agreed upon language of the former British territory of Southern Cameroons. But nevertheless, they said, we need to do this. We're still in. So who does that leave? Government. On January 23rd, the Cameroon government announced that it had not agreed to any of this. They had not authorized any foreign facilitator or mediator, and the announcement cited the major national dialogue as the process for addressing this conflict.
So for make may be clear for our country people then talk say for January 20th, Canada government announced say Ambazonia then give them mandate for negotiate, for facilitate and for mediate for this conflict. And then Cameroon government will then give them mandate. And then Ambazonian side then complain say the language where the Canadian be use them for describe the territory, be been the one way they be agreed upon. And then on the 28th of January, the Cameroon government it talk say there no be there anything for that talk. I want make my country people that they follow up also as they talk it go.
So completely pulled the plug. This was a stunning chain of events. So, and I want to mention another irony here is that the Ambazonians have.
So, Cameroon actually just pulled the plug as we talk. It be very important for our people then to understand what happened before Cameroon decided to pull the plug or decided to end the negotiation itself, and also to withdraw the mandate they gave to the Canadian. It's very important that you understand, because this is the core of what made me to resign. I think Ambazonian have missed a very big opportunity due to poor judgment that we exhibited during that conflict that resulted to what happened. So I want you to listen to that. But before she goes there, she will talk about the whole issue about Cameroon. Cameroon is a divided country. They have 2 camps. The camps of Franc-Bia, which is a choice of Paul Biya, and you have the camp of Ferdinand Gongo, which represent that really colonial system that the French government have been using to run that country. Paul Biya, all along this province have been issue have been swinging from one camp to another, and he's really not in charge, but he's officially in charge, and he have that authority over the state because he swayed the sovereignty of that country. And I want you to understand this dynamic, and you hear it publicly to know that it's not just a propaganda or PR, but these are reality on the ground. So pay attention to this division, and then you hear the reason why this talk failed. And this is very important, because this talk is the most important milestone we have ever had as a people. Listen.
I've been lectured a lot by Western experts on the conflict that they need to unify, that they are too fragmented. The government doesn't know who to talk to. They have to unify. And yet here it appears to have been divisions within the Cameroon government, not the Ambazonia side, that seems to have led to the collapse here. So there is something of an irony there. We at Pathfinders for Peace took a trip just last month, late March. And of course, we were very curious to try to understand what had happened here. As we typically do, we met with some government officials. This time, that included 2 officials from the security sector, separate meetings, one from the army, one from the gendarme, as well as meeting with a couple of foreign missions in the capital. We didn't find out exactly the chain of events that led to pulling the plug, but we did learn that public rollout may have been problematic from the standpoint of the Cameroon government. I want to acknowledge that, I'm not blaming this on the Canadians or on any one group. It was apparently a negotiated procedure for rolling it out publicly. But nevertheless, there were many in government who actually were not officially informed of this process because it was supposed to be secret. And so the first time they heard about it publicly or officially was from a foreign government. And that felt like kind of upstaging the Cameroonian government. So it was weird to them. At the same time, and in comparison especially to my last trip to Cameroon before that.
So una dan hear by una self. The chain of events that led to the Cameroon government pulling out was as a result of the ruling out of the peace, the negotiation. It wasn't ruled out according to the arrangement that the Cameroon government had made with us, the agreement that had been made. That agreement was being pulled and twisted that made it to look like the content of the framework itself was not meaningful to us. We didn't demonstrate that priority. As you can hear, she says she don't want to blame any one group or to blame the Canadians who were also pushed in the whole of this issue. These are very complex things, my fellow Ambazonians, but these are very serious and very consequential things. Our people may not appreciate, because the normal trick our groups they do is that when something happens, they run away from responsibility, try to blame and lie. Oh, this person did this because of that. This person did this because of that. And our people should always know that I have their back. They always know what happened and will always take full responsibility for what happened. The Ambazonian delegation was well informed that the negotiation was being handled by one of the factions within the Cameroon government. That faction is a faction that is pro negotiation, which is being linked to Frank Biya and Diongote, and it has the support of Paul Biya. The other faction of Ferdinand Gongo also have the support of Paul Biya. Paul Biya is in both sides, basically, so things can go anyway. The whole issue on ruling out that struggle was to maintain the support, the whole Cameroon government behind that process. And that could have only come with the hand of Paul Biya being played throughout that process. It was designed to be in a way where the presidential power will stamp itself on the process and make it impossible for it to be reversed, so that the process can go ahead with the full weight of the Cameroon government, with those who were against negotiation, those power mongers and bloodthirsty Leviathans and vampire will have no way to sabotage the movement. But unfortunately, what has happened has happened. We were told, I fought very hard for this. I can assure our people, I fought very hard for this, and every Ambazonian delegate fought very hard for this. We took 48 hours just to make sure that we saved that process. But for one reason or the other, there were some people that did not get it. The Cameroon government made it clear. Biya actually sent messages there when the negotiation was going there. The Prime Minister sent messages there to explain to us very, very clearly how we both need to come together to save this process so that we can have a real negotiation with the Cameroon government. This may sound bizarre to our people, that as we hate Cameroon for the debt they have caused for us, but negotiation brings people together to solve a problem. Negotiation, you don't negotiate fighting on the table. You negotiate by looking for ways to make the negotiation work and make real solution come so that this war can end. I don't like this war. It was brought to us, forced upon us, but we must all have a responsibility to look for a way to solve this problem that brings justice and freedom to our people and that saves human life. That wasn't exhibited in Canada, unfortunately. What happened had happened. This is exactly what happened. Paul Biya had made it very, very clear. He even pleaded, Cameroon pleaded, their authorities pleaded for us to help them to make this thing work by allowing us to go in for ceasefire and prisoner release as a means to create an enabling environment so that the peace talks can actually start. That ceasefire and prisoner release was supposed to put the seal of Paul Biya, because he is the commander-in-chief. Once the first thing that goes out is that they have had a ceasefire where Cameroon will withdraw back to their barracks. Ambazonian soldiers did not even need to withdraw or put down their guns down. They just need to remain in areas where they are and don't attack Cameroon. That authority from Paul Biya will make it irreversible and impossible for anybody to come around and sabotage it. And Paul Biya will have no choice, but the whole Cameroon will have to go along with that process. But we did not try to seize that opportunity to get Paul Biya committed. But instead, we were there arguing because some people did not want Capo Daniel to go into a committee. Some people did not want other people. It became now an issue of some people are taking the negotiation as somehow it's supposed to be. I don't really know, Ambazonian. I don't know, but it pisses me off. The gravity was so huge that I decided to resign, with the hope that the Hague of Sea, Dr. Chuayaba in particular, will really realize what happened there. They should really realize. And unfortunately, nobody in the Hague of Sea have been bold enough to really get into the bottom of this thing. Because every time we have a problem in Ambazonia, you want to find out, they'll just tell you, Nadiman and Dimani problem. No, Dima be the vexed now because of this one. They will make it a different thing. But you know very well what happened. I had raised this problem on the floor. Everybody was pissed off. The Canadian facilitator, his face was red. At one point, he looked at me and said, Capo, I almost give up this thing. And I tell him, for the sake of humanity, Mr. Peter, go ahead with this stuff. Yes, this is how negotiations are. And they know that they expect this type of things in negotiation. But we just got irritating to everybody for things that you would never imagine. That would be our own focus on holding it so tight. I know the main problem, I'm not blaming anybody. I think the whole general thing is that we have become too partisan. We are more worried that this man is going to come and say that you have sold Ambazonia. So much that we are not rational anymore. We don't think with our brains. People should not think that I've released information, because the classified information have not even touched anything that is classified. Even in terms of reporting to the other leaders what happened. Except for Jomba Okoro to an extent. But our people should know that we have missed a big opportunity. And we should never miss another opportunity. They will not want to lay it out there. It is not necessary. And I put this out there. It's not to discourage anybody, but it's so that a lesson should be learned. There is a danger that you will repeat the same thing if you don't learn from what happened. That is just a scientific fact. And my intention, and my only intention had always been to have a proper realization of what has happened, which seems not to be the case. But in any case, the struggle goes ahead. The soul of our people who have fallen, the prices we have paid, we must see it through. We have done our good job. Ambazonian leaders who have fight against the United States not to uplift the ban, the sanction against Cameroon, have worked to an extent. I report that to you to tell you that is a positive news. And to my friends out there, one of my advisor, one of our advisors in America, he always says that we don't have to say negative things. It is those negative things that makes you to take the right decision. And I always give this example. If you are afraid to know whether you have cancer or you have HIV, that fear will kill you, will lead to your early death. But if you overcome that fear and you test and you know your status, if you know that you had cancer, they will be able to cure it as soon as possible. If you have HIV, you'll be better off knowing as soon as possible so that you can get treatment that you need. Ambazonia have a cancer. Ambazonia have been contaminated with the HIV. We must cure it or take medicine. If we don't cure zamzamology, if we don't cure groupism, where groups triumph, groups are important. Don't make any mistake. But when groups start to become like political parties and leaders are more worried about people's popularity and stuff like that, they start thinking bizarre. Look at all the reasons provided to the people. Out of Dr. Cho, what the organization have been doing is a shame. But the truth always prevails, and a light will always shine. Dark will always be the one that have run away. The struggle is with us. I speak for the struggle. God bless you all.